Hey, this is Luke with Salt Strong. In this video, we're going to be talking about topwater lures and the best leader line to use with topwater lures. Right now, we're getting into the fall. The topwater action is already starting to get really good, and it's only going to get better. So some questions have come in on recent videos we've been publishing showing this in action. And it's, hey, what leader line should I use for topwater? And so I'll talk about my favorite one, really my favorite type. First of all, the mono versus fluoro debate. And then about the size, the size selection, the strength selection. What should you go for based on the fish you're targeting? So as far as mono versus fluoro, I recommend mono. Now, I've done a lot of tests on monofilament and fluorocarbon lines, and I'm not saying mono for the reasons that you're probably thinking, or at least the core reason, because mono, the myth out there is that mono floats and fluoro sinks. The truth is that they both sink, just the mono sinks a little bit slower than the fluorocarbon. So I don't really care so much about the floating dynamics of it or the sinking dynamics, because again, we're only using, this is just a leader line. This is just maybe 20 inches of leader line, and so the sink rate between 20 inches of line isn't going to be a big factor. So I've been doing a lot of tests with mono and fluoro, and I really can't tell the difference. It's surprising how similar they are. The sink rate is not a factor. What is a factor, what I have seen a noticeable disparity other than price, right? This is like $20 for 25 yards, and this is under $5 for 50 yards. So huge price difference, but the less expensive line has much better abrasion resistance. So that's what we're looking for. When we're using topwater lures, we don't care so much about the visibility. Obviously, that's always at least pretty important. But in this case, these topwater plugs, they're creating a lot of commotion up on the surface. And those fish will usually hear it from a ways off, and they're going to come up behind it. They're not going to come up in front and analyze it, right? If they did that with a real bait fish, they would never catch them. So they'll be sneaking up behind, and all they're really seeing is this back motion. So the actual, in topwater, this is the time where the leader line is probably the least important as far as catching, as far as getting the strike. Obviously, you don't want to go just a crazy strong level. But what I do with topwaters is I will generally go up a size. So in many cases, subsurface, I'll use 20-pound leader. But with topwaters, especially if I'm fishing snook territory, I will always use 30, at least 30. If I'm on the flats, 30. If I'm fishing near docks or in passes and inlets with heavy current and structure, I'll bump it up to 40 or 50. So for that reason, I highly recommend monofilament line, right? And instead of going, if you're in snook territory, use 30-pound. And then if you're just going after redfish and sea trout on the flats, use 20. This is an excellent line. And again, on the cost per yard basis, it's not even close. And it's very rare that you can actually get better performance with less expensive stuff. And this is one of those situations. So again, I recommend against the fluorocarbon. I recommend totally for the traditional monofilament line. All right, so as for the length of the leader line, this again is, you don't have to have a crazy long leader line, all right? You definitely want to have a leader because of this monofilament is much better for abrasion compared to fluorocarbon as well as compared to braid. So highly recommend having traditional monofilament and then having, I would say, at least 14 inches. Anywhere 14 to 24 inches is the range that I use. I'll start with 24. And then as I'm catching fish and I have to retie it just to make sure that the line has no nicks at all, then I'll basically replace it once it gets to around 14 inches. I would never go that short with a subsurface lure, but again, we're power fishing. These fish, if they're going after topwater, they're gonna be pretty aggressive. They're not gonna be the fish that are over analyzing their prey. They're gonna follow it. If they like what they see, they're gonna hit, and they'll pretty much never even see the leader line. So this leader is more about abrasion resistance when you do get that big fish, because big fish love topwater baits. And so when you do get that big fish, you're not going to break off. All right, that's it for now. Just wanted to share that tip. Again, it's rare that saving money actually gets you better performance, and this is definitely a case of that in my opinion. So if you're in snook territory, up on the flats, 30-pound is what I go with. And then if I'm just going after redfish and sea trout, then I'll do 20. So these are really the two lines that I always carry in my tackle box. I actually use these on subsurface too. I don't really bother with fluorocarbon much anymore. But for the topwaters especially, it is a very easy decision because the visibility spectrum is not nearly as important as using finesse subsurface lures. The only bad thing about these is that they're tough to find. So if you can't find these in a local tackle store, I'm pleased to report that we do have these in our online tackle store. So you can pick some up, and if you're a member, you can even save 20% on this as well as everything else in the store. So that's it for now. Just wanted to share the latest and greatest findings on what I've seen so far when testing out lines. This has been excellent, particularly with topwater lures. If you have any questions or if you have had any experiences that are different, please share. You know, this is all about transparency. We're not going to take anything down. And if you're new to Salt Strong, please know that we're the online fishing club that will help you catch more fish than ever before while saving money on all the tackle you need. To learn more, go to saltstrong.com. Otherwise, hope to see you again soon.
There's something about the water that'll give you peace, all by yourself or with your family. Live Salt Strong and wear the line.